Paris Jep Church. You know, I always feel like, you know that Nini Pombe brand JP Chanet. Imagine I think it's Kale. It's almost Kale, like Cindy. Hey, I've done a work wing there. Turudi? I sounded like Shakila. That was a Shakila wing. Nitawacha kusema wamelala na mimi. Test out. Oh no. Happiness for me?
Good vibes when we get down with the tribe. It's a new age groove, one step at a time. Yeah, we move to the tune while we're set in the style. No, it is what it is. Chamuhimu new high. Good vibes when we get down with the tribe. It's a new age groove, one step at a time. Yeah, we move to the tune while we're set in the style. No, it is what it is. Chamuhimu new high.
Welcome to episode 6 of The Catalyst, and I have a new cup. If you are a fan of something, especially such as sports, it surpasses the usual fandom behaviors. Even I, as one of the most ruthless fandoms that exists, the Hype, stay shook and learning. Sports fans stay wild. Try telling a sports fan to calm down during an argument and your face might meet someone's fist. Because their dad supported the team and so did their great-granddaddy. If you talk petty about someone's team, you could get beaten or shot because sports fans are the OG fundamentalists. It can be argued as well that TV, radio, and DSTV sales are kept afloat because of sports and specifically football. For women, the love of sports must involve a man. You're a sports fan by association. It's like adopt a sport and make it pink. And even if you are a pro player as a woman, and even if you are playing better than men, you will still be paid less. And while people will tell you that you look like a man, you still won't be paid like one. The US women's soccer team knows this firsthand. You win the World Cup 4 times, ask for a raise, and suddenly you're asking for too much. And it's even worse when you're African, because Africa's biggest sports fans aren't even bothered to ensure that you're alive to play. Women are stepping out to ensure that the sports world is a secure and safe space for all sports people. They're not only athletes, but are expected to be activists for their rights and everyone else's. The amount of work women have been doing in the NBA for women's rights and for racial justice seems to imply that for you to get hired as an athlete also requires an additional job on the side for... We all know you're talented players, so much talent. Your skills on the basketball court truly undisputed. But I'd like to know, what else can you contribute to off the court?
I'm not sure I follow, but I have 34 assists in the last 5 games. I am the top scorer on the team, and frankly, I have more rebounds.
Yeah, we get it. You're among the best in the sport, but I want to know, what other positive attention could you bring? Did you see Rapinoe's fall when she took the knee?
But she's a soccer player.
How she took that knee, chef's kiss. That Rapinoe, your best position for a woman is on her knees. So I'm scrolling through your social media right now. Love the hashtags. Endurance. Never give up. No retreat, no surrender. Say no pain, no gain. Just wondering what causes you are bringing attention to.
Causes, no, those were actually about my training.
Your training and equal pay. Okay, let's go with equal pay. Equal pay is a real hot button issue right now. And let's face it, it's an issue you're gonna become really acquainted with quite soon. I'm actually doing this job for free because I'm married. I have a husband. I don't really need money. I have a man. So I have some poster. No, but before we do that, could you just take the knee? I'd like to see you take the knee lunges form. Just, yeah, lower. Raise a fist, raise your fist. Okay. Solidarity, anybody? Fist? Okay, I have some poster paper here and a pink marker. I'd like you to just write a couple of activism slogans.
concludes the first round. My 30th.
Angel City, a soccer team founded by Serena Williams' husband, are set to join the American Soccer League in 2022. The team's investors are mostly women, including the actress Natalie Portman, venture capitalist Kara Nortman, and 3-year-old Olympia Ohanian. Women have been at the forefront of fighting for equal pay. Venus Williams stood front and center to demand equal pay for women's tennis. She campaigned alongside other players for equal pay from Wimbledon, and they of course did not listen to her because all the people in charge went with a unanimous, how dare she. Instead of cutting their embarrassment in half, if they just did it in the first place, 2 years later, they started paying men and women equally and cut her a $1.4 million check for her win to match the men's champion Roger Federer. Tegla Lorupe runs a refugee athletes program. Her program helps select refugees from around the world and helps them work towards their Olympic dreams. Caster Semenya, the undisputed world champion, keeps fighting for herself on the track and assists school-going kids to get access to menstrual cups. Think about it. If I ask you who your favorite sports personality is, chances are highly likely that it will be a man or Serena Williams, because for people to even remember that you exist, you have to be the best athlete of all time as a woman. Women are out here fighting for themselves, their respective sporting fields, inspiring upcoming athletes and still finding time to give back. But there are countless movies of men as superheroes. I would like to see more stories on women's sports that feature them scoring countless three-pointers, winning multiple Grand Slams, and setting world records. Representation matters. It's a key component in building new generations of sports people. The Williams sisters, through the watchful eye of their father, Richard, made tennis a welcome space for so many new tennis players like Naomi Osaka, whose first final was literally against her hero, Serena. Coco Gauff's first big match win was against Venus Williams. And I know that these are all tennis references, but it's honestly the best example. In the athletics world, Tegla Lorupe paved the way for Brigid Kosgei, who won the London Marathon this year, and Paris Jepchirchir, who is the current half-marathon world record holder. Being able to see yourself in rooms or seeing billboards celebrating your sports heroes, especially if they look like you, allows you to dream, be, and most importantly, get that money. All the women I've talked about in this segment have been mentioned a couple of times. That's just how much of a Sahara the world of sports journalism for women is. And if you haven't already, watch Billie Jean King's story on what it takes to even be considered to play a sport that you love and are passionate about. Awesome. Today I'm with Olympians. Whole Olympians. You know how people usually say, or rather mothers, they're like, what were you doing when your friend was doing APCD? Them, do they have two heads? Yeah? So yes, thank you so much for coming in, Camilyne. Thank you so much for coming in, Sheila. Thank you so much for coming in, Sharon, who is working to support people to become Olympians. Yeah, it's so lovely to have you all of here today.
Thank you.
Talking sports, talking about your passion for it, and also what's happening behind the scenes to support it. So my first question is to you, Sharon. There's a lot of power in the statement that we're going to touch every single person in Africa using sports. And that came from the founder of Giants of Africa, Uji.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to understand what this philosophy means for the kind of work that you put out and that you work on at Giants of Africa.
Yeah, so the statement is one day we're going to touch every corner of the continent.
Yes.
And that's because as Giants of Africa, we are not biased on how we operate on the continent because we believe in the greatness that is within the 54 countries. We've so far covered 14, and we are just hitting the ground running because we're just starting to fundraise in Africa. We're just starting to educate people about what we really do, although we've been here for 17 years. And our goal is to use basketball around the continent to inspire, not just to inspire the youth, not just in sub-Saharan Africa, but all around the continent. Yeah.
Nice. Tell me a little bit about Uji. From what I know, he not only founded Giants of Africa, but is also, you know, the manager at the Raptors.
Yeah, so I'll start with the biggest pointer, which is he is the only African president of an NBA team or of a professional sports team in North America. He represents the continent when it comes to governance, sports governance, and not just in America, but on the globe, right? He's a 2019 NBA champion. So the Raptors were the champions. Ideally, we say Africans, we won the championship in 2019 because the Raptors is the team with the highest number of Africans currently as players and as staff. Yeah, so Masai is from Nigeria. His dad is Nigerian, his mom is Kenyan.
Wow.
So,
From Machakos.
From the Machakos region. He started Giants of Africa 17 years ago as he wanted to give the youth what basketball gave to him, which is a global career, which is the power to inspire. He's a global leader, and it's because of basketball that he's able to do all these things. So he wanted to change the narrative around, first of all, the business of sport, what sports can do for people here, how sports taps into pretty much every other industry you can think about on the continent, and how we can use it. Yeah.
Nice. So, as athletes at the Olympics, how did you keep your cool? You know, just not just in the village where you're just, you yourselves are stars, then you're meeting other stars, and just everything about it just, to me, feels overwhelming. Which is probably why I'm not an Olympian. But I wanted to know, how did you keep your cool on the pitch and off?
You know, first of all, the experience itself is overwhelming. Like, you know, there's a time we met Bolt. Actually, we were from the dining hall because we were using one dining hall. And we just got confused. We were like 4 of us. And after he had gone, we were like, hey, and he owned Bolt. And, you know, at that time, we could do nothing because he's someone that you've been watching on TV, maybe inspiring you and such things. What made us keep our cool is, you know, this is something we were looking forward to. And, you know, even before the Olympics, you know, you hear of these privileges. First, we are going to be given a phone. There was this S7 phone. You know, it was new in the market. And, and you hear of the privileges from the athletes who've been in previous Olympics, that this is the treatment, this is the kind of thing that, and, you know, this is what we were looking forward to. But also getting into Brazil, we realized that we have countries who had better treatment than us, you know. Umetoka huku kama unajua, then you reach there, you find now inabidi pia wewe unyenyekee. And then, you know, these successful athletes, they're so humble. Once you meet them in person, they're very humble people. So, you know, when you interact with these people, they're so humble. You have no option but also to be humble because you're there for the same purpose. Yeah.
What about for you? You've qualified again, which is amazing. Congratulations. Yes.
Me in 2016 in Rio, on the pitch, like the preparation we had, it was a little better than what we've been doing the whole time. So we knew we were going to play against New Zealand. Most of, like, they were in our pool, the team that is unbeaten all throughout. So we were like, let's go do our best, our very best. If we have done our very, I had to pick 100, we have done our best. So we were going to learn from the games that we were going to play. So it was really, really so nice to play against them.
Dope. And, you know, speaking of preparation and getting people to that space where they're comfortable not only competing, but having the confidence to believe that they can actually win, even if, you know, somebody's unbeaten. One of your alumni said that the whole process for her redefined to her what it felt like, what it meant to be African. And for me, the way I understood it was that she was experiencing an experience that was not only fair, but that challenged her, but that was also a good experience. because I feel like African athletes sometimes go through such hard experiences. So for her, and I wanted to get to understand how you go about that as a program, how you ensure that not only are they being challenged to be their best, but also that they experience the best.
So we start by just showing the youth how great this continent is. Because if you watch the news every day, there's just so much negativity. And, you know, just being a Kenyan alone, with every African country, the 54 of them, there are different challenges. And
Africa is a country in problems.
Yeah. So many problems that we are peddled all around, but there's so much positive energy that comes from every part of the continent that the youth need to be given, and they need inspiring. So the first thing is teaching the youth about truly the true stories of the continent. Like where are we now and where could we be in the next 60 years? Because we are going to, in the next couple of years, we're going to be to have the biggest population of the youth. And so our programs, our camps are geared towards building leaders for the next generation. And how do you build leaders? By telling them the opportunities they have here. So we are anchored on basketball, but we know that a very small percentage of our players, like in terms of our numbers, it's a very small percentage that will end up in the NBA, for example. But we're going to have doctors, lawyers, engineers, entrepreneurs, and we teach them by her saying that statement. And I think you're talking about Myra, who's now in school in London. She just left. She's one of our most vocal alumni who, you know, through her confidence was built through our camps. She's studying political science, which a lot of the youth here are not really thinking about because of the complex socio-political ecosystem. But she wants to take leadership in her own hands. You know, she's not scared of the fact that politics can be messy in Africa. She wants to study political science, and she's confident about what that will do for her on the continent, like how she can inspire others through that. And that came from basketball, not from, you know, a lot of things come from the classroom, but so much comes from, in terms of leadership building, from our programs in that way.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, speaking of leadership, how did you grow into your role as a team leader and captain, and then team leader and manager?
I can say maybe something like leadership. I think it runs in my family because my dad, my mom, they've been in leadership positions in various groups. And as I was growing up, I knew my dad as a chairman. So it's something that has been in me since I was in primary school. She's spoken about politics. Actually, I've tried into politics. I vied in 2017, the seat of a member of county assembly. I lost in the general elections. You know, in politics, there's no number two, but I was number two with, I lost with some 300 votes. I'm not
300?
sure. Yeah, it was some 300 votes to my, to the fellow.
The first thing I thought was Sparta.
Yeah, and you know that guy was so tensed. Like, I remember we were at the tallying station and he was so tensed. And I just told him, if you win, it's okay. I'll try and support you if I can. But in the team, in the rugby women's team, I've been a captain and vice captain for both the 15th team and the 7th team, respectively. So leadership, and before even I became captain, we used to have some small welfare activities, and my teammates would say, this one I think Camilyne can handle it. Then I rose up to captaincy, then from there to team manager. So it's something that I think, personally, I believe that leadership is in me, because even currently in the church that I'm serving, I'm still a leader in my church. So it's something that is inside me. Yeah.
You should run again. 300 is a small number.
I know. You know, like she said, politics in Africa can be messy. I'm not sure if I want to go back. But I want to do things in my community, in my country, in my team, in my own personal level. Yeah. Not in the level of politics now. Yeah, I'm not sure if I want to go back there. It was messy, by the way. You know, being one woman and you have like 10 men vying for the same position. Yeah, but I'm tough.
I
Yeah.
believe you.
True. Yeah, I am.
I believe you. When people say that you should support and promote women in sports, it sounds very fluffy, at least to me, right? But what are some of the hard-hitting things that you as an athlete would expect in terms of that promotion and support?
I feel like we should have a voice, like to talk about what we are going through as athletes. Because most of the time, like in our federation, like men are up there when the ladies were here. Like through men, that's why we get what we get. Like if sponsors are coming for the men. So Sisi, we are the, let me not say dogs that are picking. We are just included if, let me say, unfortunately, if something happens to the men's team, we are not confident enough to say that our team will still be there. So if we get a voice to, we can talk about our problems, what we need, what we can do. You see, not Kenya Lionesses. If we want our name, Kenya Lionesses, to be heard, before if we hear rugby, it's always the Shujas. So we want even us, when they say rugby, the Kenya Lionesses appear. So it's just the voice, the support, even the game-wise. If you can tell people, hey, there's a men's team playing somewhere, like most of the people will buy the tickets. Our games are free of charge to come watch, but you'll find the population is even a quarter to what the men have. So it's just the voice. Yeah.
So there's a lot that you are imparting to, say, the coaches, the players, the people actually on the field. I wanted to know if there's anything you've learned from coaches and players coming back to you and the organization.
So before starting with Giants of Africa, I had been to a couple of their camps. And during the same time, I was also part of the Junior NBA program, which operates. A lot of our programs overlap sometimes, depending on the countries. And one of the biggest lessons, so I've been an athlete in different, not pro, but amateur mostly, like I played different sports throughout my life. And the one thing I learned watching athletes, and especially at the NBA level, is how confident these guys are. If you watch Masai speak to kids at a camp, his voice is so loud, like he has a big voice, and it's not just him, it's every coach. And that's what they teach these kids to do. They say, get up, say your name, say where you're from, and they teach these kids that you're supposed to, you're supposed to speak. We're talking about having a voice. Africans, we are brought up to be, respectful. You have to watch your words. You have to watch, and then it grows. We grow up with it, and then we get to a certain level where we need to speak up, but we're not speaking up. And now we're seeing the youth start speaking up more. But one of the things, the most admirable traits I've seen, and that I'm still learning to do, is to speak up. When you see a group of kids, you'll be amazed at how nervous you get when you see a group of kids and you have to talk to them.
Yeah, that's very
Or you're told, say so, and they're toddlers, or maybe they're in kindergarten, but you'll just start sweating, because that's not something that a lot of us know how to do. But being in these spaces, the coaches, the athletes, you're taught how to speak up, how to have a voice, because this voice is going to serve you as an MCA in the future, as in the future, when you're not a player anymore, I'm sure there's something big waiting for you, because you acknowledge that there's a voice that needs elevation, and you're going to do it, right? That's the biggest lesson I've learned about, being in these spaces. You have to speak up. You have to be able to articulate yourself as loud as possible. Yeah.
What excites you about the game? About the sport, the potential it has?
Wow, Rugby. Yes, I've been into so many sports. I started with athletics when I was in primary school. Actually, when I went to high school, I did athletics, football. I was the netball captain in my high school. Then I also played netball for Hilton Hotel, that is after high school. And actually, it was a long time before they won any trophy. And I remember we brought in the first gold medal for them. But I stopped playing netball because I discovered rugby. Some of the things what excites me about rugby is I think there are values that have been instilled in me through rugby that maybe I'm not sure, but I think I could not have gotten them in other sports. And actually also something that made me to be very, I think, confident in my leadership is rugby. Because so many people, they related rugby to nguvu mingi sana and the men's sport. But actually, no, you saw that thing that they say nguvu mingi and everything, that is what builds your confidence, especially as a woman. So that is something that really excites me about the sports. Because for rugby, most of the rugby ladies, if you meet them, most of them are very confident about themselves. Yeah, and with confidence, you can achieve so many things. Yeah.
What excites you?
The opportunity. There's a lot of opportunities that we have. Like, let me say traveling example. There's some countries you've gone that, if I was just a lady at home, I would. Opportunities are coming. Like, I wouldn't have gone to. Like, I've traveled more than 10 countries without me paying anything. Slept in big hotels that myself I couldn't afford. So it's an opportunity to meet people. Like, I've met with people who have installed some things in me that they're helping me in life right now. So it's overall an opportunity, a big opportunity.
And we've been able also to get a lot of skills through this rugby, not only the skills in the pitch. Most of us, like me, we've had coaching skills for both the 15s and 7s aside. So you see, off rugby, off active playing, actually you can get a team, coach, and earn money. So we've gotten a lot of skills off the pitch, courtesy of rugby. Yeah.
Sharon, what are you excited about?
So for next year, we have what's ideally going to be our biggest event yet. We have the Giants of Africa Festival that will feature 100 boys and 100 girls from all over the continent in one location, one country. We are all going to Kigali, and it will be a week of camping, of music, entertainment, leadership, with coaches from the NBA and our local coaches, leaders who support us, figures who we think would inspire our kids. And all this will happen within a week of intense coaching. And this is an initiative of Giants of Africa, and with a lot of support from President Kagame. And we'll be having this at the Kigali Arena, which was just built the other day, which is pretty much the pride now of Rwanda. So I think this will be a very good opportunity. One of the things we have to acknowledge is that our camps are now 50-50 boys and girls, where we give the girls an equal opportunity to play as the boys. So that's one of the most exciting projects that we're working on now. And look out for it, because it's going to be big.
And Kagame looks like he can throw hoops.
He can.
And his daughter Ange.
And his sons.
Yeah, and his sons.
He's the shortest in the family.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we're very grateful for the support from President Kagame, but it's also a big example of what leadership and support in sports looks like, just give people an arena and you'll see the magic that comes out of it. Yeah. So Giants of Africa Festival next year.
Awesome.
Yes.
Look out for it. Thank you so much for coming in. This has been such a good conversation. I think especially for me, I learned so much putting this show together about sports, about, you know, how hard it is for women, especially just not only even just trying to play, but even trying to get fair treatment. And yes, it's getting better, but it's still not fair. So yeah, thank you so much for taking your time and coming in today.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's how you must test your brand everywhere. We move to the tune while we're set in the style. No, it is what it is. New high. Good vibes when we get down with the tribe. It's a new age groove, one step at a time. Yeah, we move to the tune while we're set in the style. No, it is what it is.